It was the summer of 1954, and the air in our little town carried that peculiar sweetness that only wheat fields in July could give off, warm, dusty, and edged with the faint scent of clover. I was 13 then, old enough to be trusted with small responsibilities, yet still young enough to believe the world was limitless. My parents had sent me to stay with my grandmother for 2 weeks while they tended to the farm, and those days at her house were nothing short of magic. Her home sat at the edge of a sleepy lane, shaded by tall plane trees, whose leaves whispered above us in the afternoon wind. The kitchen was her kingdom, its walls yellowed with age, its shelves crowded with jars of preserved peaches and wild blackberry jam. Every morning she would wake before the sun and set bread to rise. By the time I stumbled downstairs, the yeasty warmth mingled with the smell of boiled coffee, wrapping me in a comfort so complete I can almost taste it still. One afternoon, she asked me to carry 2 glass bottles of milk up the hill to old Mr. Bennett's house. I remember cradling them carefully, feeling the chill of the glass against my forearms as I walked along the dusty road. The sun was generous that day, painting the wheat fields gold, making every insect's wing a spark of light. Somewhere far off, a mower droned, and now and again the wind would push the sound toward me, soft and wavering, halfway to the Bennett's place. I came upon a small hollow in the road where the rainwater must have pooled weeks before. A handful of tadpoles wriggled there, impossibly black against the muddy shallows. I crouched down, forgetting my errand for a moment, and watched them dart and flick their tiny tails, their bodies no bigger than seeds. The whole world seemed to contract in that instant. No clocks, no pressing duties, just the bright shimmer of sunlight on water, and the living pulse of these creatures whose lives had just begun. Mr. Bennett, when I finally reached his gate, was sitting in a wicker chair on the porch, his suspenders slack over his shoulders. His voice was roughened by age, but carried a gentleness I didn't often hear in grown men. "Thank you, young one," he said, as I handed him the bottles. "Always be careful with milk. It's more fragile than it looks." I nodded, though I didn't fully grasp his meaning then. That night after supper, my grandmother and I sat outside. She worked a bit of mending in her lap, humming softly. The sky turned violet, and the plane trees became silhouettes against the last traces of day. I told her about the tadpoles, how they seemed to exist without any notion of time. She smiled in that way she did, half in amusement, half in approval, and said, "The little things, they're always teaching us if we bother to look." It was a simple moment, spoken in a soft evening voice, yet it tucked itself deep into me. Over the years, in the rush and noise of my working life, I would sometimes feel that same quiet pull, a reminder to slow down, to notice the way sunlight turns dust into gold. The way laughter echoes differently in a small kitchen than it does in a wide city street. The way tenderness can hide inside the most ordinary acts. Now, looking back across the decades, I understand what neither Mr. Bennett nor my grandmother explained outright. That fragility is not weakness, and that life, like those bottles of milk or those wriggling tadpoles, needs gentle hands to carry it. Time swallows much. Houses fade, wheat fields are ploughed under for shopping lanes, and even the voices I loved have gone quiet. But that lesson remains clear inside me. And on certain warm days, when the wind stirs the trees in just the right way, and the scent of clover drifts up from some forgotten corner, I feel as though I am once again walking that dusty road, milk bottles cool against my arm, the summer lights spilling down in gold, and my grandmother's words travelling beside me like an unbroken thread.